Okay, welcome back. Hey, praise God, another day. And back to the morning schedule. I went to bed last night and ended up writing out this lecture. Actually, I ended up staying up till 3:30 in the morning writing this. And so I'm just on a few hours of sleep, so bear with me. That means you better appreciate it, because I put so much sacrifice into this one. What I want to talk about, I wanted to take a break. We talked yesterday about, Greek philosophy and the, emotions of God, and pretty deep theologically. And I have another lecture that kind of follows after that one that also deals with this issue of time and eternity. But I wanted just to take a break from that, from the theological, and just talk about something very practical, something I just enjoy talking about, something I enjoy thinking about, something I've never taught about before either. And that is the topic of biblical principles for money.
Amen.
Biblical principles for money. Okay. This is my formula. Building wealth. If I asked you, do you know how to build wealth? Could you answer that question? Do you know the formula? How money is made? That's what I want to teach. This is not something that you learn in high school, is it? They don't teach you a class on economics. They teach you mathematics, teach you English, teach you Spanish, teach you science. And I have found, at least in my personal life, a lot of what I learned in school, I don't use in real life. Okay? Something that affects all of us, our everyday life of everybody in society, in every country, is money. But they don't teach you that in high school. Economics should be like a standard class starting in middle school, maybe even elementary school. It should be a standard class because it's something that affects everybody. And since it affects everybody, we should all think about it. We should study it and be good stewards of our money. Personally, I come from a family that didn't like to talk about money, just period. You don't talk about it. And that's probably because, we didn't have any. Right? And if you don't have any, you just don't want to talk about it. If you don't know how it's made, you're not going to teach your kids anything about it. And so I think a lot of people, they just don't talk about it because, they don't know about it. You can't talk about what you don't know. And many high school teachers don't know about money. They're poor. And in fact, some high school teachers in the United States, they sign up online to be these sugar babies, which means they're looking for a sugar daddy, an older man who's going to pamper them with wealth. I was reading a news article about how in America, the number one group to sign up online to be a sugar baby are college girls. Second group are high school teachers. Yeah, that's the state of America. So even high school teachers don't know about money, don't know wealth. So no wonder there's no class on economics. But it affects all of us. So I was not taught from my parents money principles or how to build wealth. So was that an advantage or a disadvantage? Disadvantage, right? It'd be a shortcut if you just had parents who knew these things and taught these things to you. But God could use it as an advantage because, since I wasn't taught things, I have a desire to learn them. So I'm reading books, asking questions, finding mentors, because I don't know and I would like to know. So God can take those disadvantages and turn them into an advantage. This especially is something that you should learn when you're young.
Amen.
Because the sooner you understand principles of money and how money is made, how wealth is built, the sooner you can get started, and the sooner you can be a financial blessing to the mission field and to churches and to the body of Christ. And so especially now that you're young, you should be thinking about these things, studying them, asking questions, finding Christian financial mentors, to have good financial health and that sort of thing. Especially for you men. One thing that is such a vital, part of my life is being a husband, being a father, being a provider. And so I need to know, not just how to be like, a good husband emotionally to my wife, but how to be a good husband financially to my family. I'm the head of the home means you are the servant of all. He was going to be the greatest among you, must be the servant of all. But the husband is to serve his wife, to serve his kids, to provide for their needs, so that your wife doesn't have to worry about money. So that your kids never have to feel like there's any lack or need. And so for especially you young men, this is an important topic for you to learn while you're young. Now, the idea of studying biblical principles of money, you're learning, you have to view money as a game. Because it is like Monopoly is a game, there's other financial games, and really that's what the economy is. It's like a big game. And people who don't know how to build wealth, they just don't know how to play the game. It's not hard if you know the rules of the game, if you know some strategies, some techniques. Most millionaires, billionaires, they view money as a game. It's just a game. And you just got to learn how to play the game. And you don't have to cheat. You don't have to, in fact, when you cheat in the game, that's a good way to lose the game. Right? I teach my children that when I teach them chess. If they get caught cheating, they immediately lose. Cheating is not a pathway to success. Cheating is a pathway to failure. And that's true in life when it comes to making money. You want to cheat, you want to go rob a bank, you're probably going to get caught, you're going to go to jail, you're going to lose the money game. Yeah. Cheating is a recipe for failure. You can play the game by biblical principles of money using a logical formula for building wealth without cheating or wronging or sinning against anybody. You can make money legitimate ways. So learn to play the game. And I always figure, if some people seem to have this attitude that, money's just not important, right? Like it's not the meaning of life. And there's things that are much more important than money, so let's just not give it any thought at all. Let's not think about it, let's not talk about it, let's not know what we're doing. And I don't think that's a good attitude towards money. My idea, my logic is, look, if you have to make financial decisions throughout life anyways, you can't escape it. We all are making financial decisions every day with every dollar. If you have to make financial decisions, you might as well make good ones. I mean, if you have to make choices, don't make ignorant choices where you don't really know what you're doing, but you just have to do it, so you make dumb choices, ignorant choices. If you have to make choices, make good ones. If you have to make financial decisions, make good ones. So we should all know what we're doing. Now, I did, go to middle school and high school for a little while, but I didn't learn much. I mentioned before, I was like the worst kid in middle school, suspended 39 times in 1 year, dropped out of high school when I was 16 years old, and started working full-time. So my academic career was a failure in that regard. I didn't learn. I don't know my times tables. I don't know. I can only write a few letters in cursive. I can't write the alphabet in cursive. There's lots of academic things I just don't know. But one thing I did learn in middle school, probably the only thing I learned in middle school, was economics. And it wasn't from the teachers. It was because I was selling drugs in the hallway. And so the only thing I learned in school ended up being economics. And now, so I was a drug dealer. Now that's a recipe for failure, right? If you're selling drugs, you're going to go to jail, and I was on a real quick path to jail. But looking back on it, I can see some very basic economic principles that were ingrained in my mind from selling drugs. For example, I would get a bag of marijuana that was an ounce of marijuana for, I think it was like $90. and it would be, they would spot me an ounce, which means, you know, I didn't pay for it up front, I paid for it later. So it's, you know, the idea of leveraging, of borrowing, which I actually don't think is, you know, a necessary, you know, model for business. But I was being spotted out, so I learned a little bit about leverage there. Then I would bag it up into smaller bags and sell it for $120 or $130. And so I learned how to, you know, make a profit, buy low, sell high. It was multi-level marketing. I realized, you know, I was working for a guy who was working for a guy who was working for a guy. So it's just like Mary Kay. Mary Kay are like drug dealers, you know, or the essential oils. It's the same business model as the cartels and the gangs. It's a multi-level marketing. It's the same idea. And so I realized, hey, I'm working for a guy, and I'm the one actually, you know, selling these drugs. The real position is to be more of the middle guy. And so I started getting ounces from people, or getting quarter pounds from people, and then spotting ounces to other people. So now I wasn't even, you know, on the street selling drugs. I moved up the ladder and just became the middleman. Now I know these are horrible examples of biblical finances. These are horrible. But these were the first financial principles that I learned. And I understood, so retail, wholesale, you know, I would get it at a low price, I would sell it at a higher price, buy low, sell high. That's the basic, that's how money is made. Buy it low, sell it high. And then supply and demand, okay? I was the only drug dealer in school, and there was a demand for it. Kids wanted marijuana, and I was the only one with the supply. And so basic supply and demand, when the demand is up and the supply is down, what happens to the price? The price goes up. That's basic economics.
Yes.
Okay, and the opposite is true. When there's an overabundance of supply, then that there's more supply than the demand, well then the price goes down, down, down. Okay, that's the problem with unemployment. Okay, here's the supply of workers. There's a demand, businesses need workers. So they, okay, here's the demand, these are how many jobs businesses need. Then if there's an oversupply of workers, you know, like with illegal immigration or whatever, you know, it affects the economy. Then the price goes down because you're competing for jobs. It's in a better position when they're competing for the supply. There's more demand than supply. So if here's your supply, okay, but here's the demand. Well, there's more supply than the demand. So there's lots of supply that just won't get sold. So whoever owns that isn't going to sell it. There's not a demand for it. But if it's the opposite, if this is the demand, this is how many people want something, there's only that much of a supply, well now they're all competing for that, so this becomes more valuable. So, you know, how do you determine the value of an object? Well, the marketplace does. You know, what's the law of supply and demand determines the value of it. So you see with real estate, you know, all the time houses go up, they go down. It all depends on how many buyers are in the market, how many mortgages are being given out. You know, if you buy when there's, like during the foreclosure and the collapse, there's so much supply, so many houses and not enough buyers. And so you could buy houses super cheap. But then in the opposite, when there's tons of buyers for houses, but only a few houses on the market, well, they're all going to compete for those houses, and those houses are going to make a killing. And so I learned some basic supply and demand. I was the only drug dealer in middle school. I had what's called a monopoly over the market. So I could manipulate supply and demand. I sold, the price went up. I sold things for ridiculous prices because, well, I was the only one with the supply. This is why antiques are valuable. You know, well, why? An antique that's all busted up, broken, you know, rusty. Well, if there's a lot of people that want it because it's rare, the rarity adds its value. So that's basic supply and demand. Interesting with cars, Okay, is a car a appreciating asset? Does it go up in value? Or is it a depreciating asset? Does it go down in value?
It just depends on what car you have, huh?
Yes, well, it certainly does depend on the car. You think it's depreciating. Every year they make new cars. So every year they're adding to the supply. Here's the '07, here's the '08, here's the '09. So the supply just continues to increase. And the demand doesn't keep up with it. You know, you buy a car, what, once every 5 years, 10 years. It depends, how long it'll last you. So they're constantly feeding the supply every year. So that, the '07 is not as valuable in '08, and even less valuable in '09. But then you get to, this is the fun part, you get to a part where now suddenly your car is an antique. It's a classic. It's rare. People want those 1950s and those 1960s, 1970s. And so it depreciates until it becomes such a rare commodity that there's a demand for those rare cars. Now it appreciates. If you hold on to your car long enough, you get to the place of appreciation, which is kind of cool. So, okay, so that's just basic economics, supply and demand. I learned that. So I started out life with very little education, very little knowledge, but I did understand some basic economics. And they say, a lot of times, the A students end up working for the C students because, like the A student just goes with the crowd, goes to college, comes out of college, and now he's looking for a job. Who's hiring? Well, that high school dropout who got C's in school while you were at college accumulating debt. He was starting a business because he realized, I better work hard because I don't have the advantages of a college. So he starts working hard, and by the time you get out of college, that high school dropout has a job for you. And so high school graduates, a lot of times, high school dropouts end up employing the college graduates. So when I was 20 years old, I was just pursuing the calling of God. I had prayed, I had fasted, I said, God, what do you want me to do with my life? I'll do anything. You want me to be a pastor? You want me to be a missionary to the Middle East? Go anywhere, I'll do anything. And I went and I prayed and I fasted in the wilderness, prayed and fasted in the backwoods for 3 days, just praying and pursuing God. And I felt like He wanted me to do what I'm doing now, which is to travel the country, travel the world, just preaching Jesus to everybody and anybody, and especially through open-air ministry, street preaching. So I was 20 years old, and I bought a van with all the money that I had, stepped out in faith, and I spent way too much because I knew nothing about cars. I didn't have parental guidance to take me to the car dealership. I didn't have a dad to help me find a good deal. So I went to the dealership. I said, I need a van. Oh, we don't have vans. He said, but I know a guy he has one on his front yard. It's just sitting there. He might sell it to you. Oh, okay. So he went and he got it. He pulled up. It's a purple minivan with scratches all over. It's been keyed, and it's just in pretty horrible shape. And but it runs. And I thought, okay, this is the only van. And I didn't have a car, so I couldn't even walk to another dealership. This was as far as I could walk, so I needed something at this dealership. And so we're sitting down, and he says, so you want to buy it? I said, yeah. He said, well, how much do you want to pay for it? They didn't want to give me a price. They want you to just start with your offer. Well, how much do you want to pay for it? I said, well, all I have is $2,000. Is that enough? And he said, yep, that's enough. It was probably worth like $300 or $500. But, well, I offered all the money that I had. I didn't know. So I bought this car for $2,000, which I couldn't even drive home because it overheated. And it had a leaky radiator. I had to constantly pour more and more water into it. This was a Christian man, by the way. And he knew I was going into the missions, and we even prayed together. But he did, at the very least, offer his mechanic at the shop for free when I called him up and said, I can't even get home with this. I just paid money, I can't even get home. So then I take that man, I travel the whole country, preaching on colleges, universities, bars, and clubs. And then like maybe 2 years later, I'm driving through town, and the cop pulls me over and says, your registration is expired. I said, my what? He said, your registration. I said, what's that? He says, the little sticker on your window, right here. That's expired. You need a new one. I said, well, how do I do that? He said, well, you got to go to the DMV. Where is that? I said, he's over there. So I go to the DMV. I said, I need to renew my registration. And they said, okay, what's your license plate number? So I go outside, I look at the car, I write down the license plate, I give it to them, I said, here it is. They look it up, they said, this is not your car. I said, what do you mean? They said, that license plate is someone else's name. They said, have you ever registered your car before? I said, no. So I drove all over the country, preaching the gospel everywhere. I didn't have it registered. I didn't know you had to. I didn't know. I thought you buy it from the dealership, you can drive it. He had it inspected somewhere before he sold it to me. I thought that was whatever the government required. It passed the inspection. And now for like 2 years, I travel all over the country. I remember one time I pulled up to a toll road in the highway, and they were like, oh, it's $2. I said, do you take credit card? They said, no. And I'm like, well, I don't have any money. I didn't know there was a toll road here. I mean, I'm traveling across the country, and you just run into tolls. I didn't have any change. They're like, all right, well, you're just going to drive through. It'll take a picture of your license plate, and just mail you a fine. I said, okay. I drove through. I never did get that fine. I don't know who got it. But, it wasn't my plates. Okay. And so I started out in life, no parental guidance. Nobody's teaching me these things. I had to learn the hard way. But I knew some principles of economics. I knew some biblical principles. So that when I was 20 years old, I'm living in a minivan, but on purpose, by choice, kept my expenses down. I was just starting out my ministry. It was like during those startup years, you're supposed to, continue to just reinvest and not take a salary. And so I just tried to keep my expenses down, continue to travel, raise support. And I wouldn't even buy a candy bar. If I pulled over and I was like, man, I'd like to have a Snickers, I'd say, no, I'm not going to have a candy bar. Because I know little things add up. And money is wasted little by little by little by little. And I'm not going to just get a candy bar every time I pull up to a gas station, right? So I was very frugal, just living in a minivan. So by the time I got married, and yes, my wife married a man who lived in his minivan, because God told her to. So, well, that's that.
They put me up a hand.
Yeah, and but I had money saved at that point. I had a good. So we started out our marriage without debt. I didn't have college debt, she didn't have college debt, and I had some money saved up because, I lived so cheaply. I just kept saving it. So 20 years old, living in a van. By the time I was 26, I was a fairly wealthy person by, society standards. Way above average from the, average 26-year-old. When I was 26 years old, I was able to buy my first house. So I went from living in a minivan at 20 to buying my first house when I was 26, and I bought it without a mortgage because I couldn't even qualify for one if I wanted one. I couldn't even get a loan if I wanted one. But I had biblical principles of economics where I was able to accumulate wealth, to buy and to sell and to flip things like when I was a drug dealer. So at 26, I bought my first house. And that's going to be, a blessing for the rest of my life and for the rest of my family's life. And it was, done debt-free, which I think is a biblical way of doing things. So I've learned principles of economics.
Jesse,
Yeah.
just wondering, is that house under your name already?
Oh, yeah, I registered the house. Yes, you can go to the county clerk. I have the deed registered at the county clerk.
Is it the same house today?
Yeah, I still live there. We've thought about selling it, but we really like it. So I have other plans. I mean, I could if it was me, this is what I would do. If it was me, I would move every 2 years. live in Texas for 2 years in a house. I buy a house that, it's a foreclosure, buy it low, sell it high, fix it up over 2 years. And then if you live in a house for 2 years in America, then you don't have to pay a capital gains tax if you sell it. Meaning any profit you make is tax-free if you live in it for 2 years. So I would just move around every 2 years. I'd live in Florida for 2 years, do my ministry, and then I'd live in California for 2 years, do my ministry in California, move up to Montana for 2 years, do ministry in Montana, because my ministry is internet-based and my support comes through the internet. I could live anywhere, I could move to the Philippines today and it doesn't affect my income because I'm not bound by location, right? So, but I have a wife and I have kids, and she has girlfriends, and the kids have friends, so they have roots in the community. So I can't just uproot them and move. But that would be nice for many reasons. I like to travel and be good financially. So I've never taught this topic before. You guys are my guinea pig. But I really enjoy it. I was up till 3:30 in the morning just writing out my outline, just writing out all my different ideas. It's just something that I really enjoy. So let's take a break from theology and have a little bit of fun talking about finances. Biblically, in Luke 16:11, Luke 16:11 says, "If therefore ye have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to you, or who will commit to your trust the true riches? And if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's, who will give you that which is your own?" So the idea here, look at verse 9, it says, "And I say unto you, make to yourselves friends of mammon of unrighteousness, that when you fail, they may receive you into everlasting habitation. He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. He that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much." So the idea here is to be faithful in little things, like money. Money's a little thing. It's something we all have to do. It should not be of major, supreme purpose of our life. It's a small thing, but we should be faithful in it. Here it says, if we're not faithful in unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? So we should, like I said, we should make good financial decisions, be faithful in little things like money. And that starts with managing the little. You think, if I had lots of money, then I would manage it. But if you're not managing the little bit of money that you have now, you're not going to manage a lot more. If you don't know where all the money that you have is going now, just a little bit that you're spending, you're like, I don't even know where it just disappeared. You're never going to be able to handle a great deal of money. It's just going to disappear on you. You're not going to know where it went. So you have to be faithful in little if you're going to be faithful in much. Also, in 1 Timothy 6:10, 1 Timothy 6:10 says that the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money itself. Money's not evil. Money's just a means. But the love of money is evil, meaning people do all sorts of evil things to get it. They will lie, they will steal, they will cheat, because their God is their money, and they do all sorts of wickedness for it. So a biblical perspective about money is, yes, we should be faithful in it, but it's not our God. It's not what we should love. Okay, money is a means. It's not the end. Meaning, with money we can do things. You can, the sinner just wants to use it to gratify himself. I want to use it to glorify God. I like to, build mission organizations and finance churches to finance missionaries. So it's a means. So the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not wrong to have it or to earn it. It's just wrong to love it as something of great importance to you. In Proverbs 31:16, Okay, the Proverbs 31 woman
Yeah.
says she bought a field. She considered and bought a field, so she's investing in real estate.
16 or 6?
What did I say? Yeah, it should be 16. Proverbs 31, 16. Also, Proverbs 31, 24. Talks about her making a product, this fine linen that she sells. Goes to the marketplace, sells what she makes. And so she invests in real estate, she starts her own business. Okay, producing a product, bringing it to the market, so meeting a demand, and so we should. That's an honorable thing in the Bible. It's this is the Proverbs 31 woman. So you should be making good financial decisions, and Jesus made money in John 12:6. And 13:29 talks about how the 12 disciples had a money bag. They had money coming in that they were saving and spending, as they saw fit. And of course, Judas kept the money bag and he stole from it. Nevertheless, the group had a money bag, so Jesus was making money.
Petty cash, we call it in YWAM.
What is it?
Petty cash, we call it. We always have a purse with our petty cash in it.
Oh, okay. Very good. Yeah, it's just wise. So, the Bible says, like in Matthew 6:33, it says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." Okay, we don't seek the money. You don't pursue wealth as your primary aim in life. You seek the kingdom of God. And these things are just added to you. It's secondary. Okay, so when I'm 20 years old and I just pray and I fast, God, what do you want me to do? I'll go anywhere. I'll do anything. I just want to do your will. I want to promote your kingdom. So you just travel the country. Okay, bought a van, lived in the van. But as I was going, I was making good choices. I learned how to find a good vehicle, how to buy it at a good price, how to sell it for a profit. We then traveled in a trailer across the country. So again, I looked for the best deal and used it, and then sold it for a profit, and just kept doing buy low, sell high, look for the right deals. And just going about my life serving God, going about my life doing the ministry. But since financial decisions had to be made, I wanted to make the best ones that I could. So by the time I was 26, now no college debt, got a house with no mortgage on it, got my own ministry, traveling the world, and so I'm doing really well by 26. But other kids, okay, that I went to high school with, well, they didn't pursue the kingdom of God. They weren't seeking the kingdom of God. They were seeking money. So what did they do? Well, they got a college loan. Then they went to college to get their education so they can get a nice degree, so they can get a nice career, so they can get a nice income, live in a nice neighborhood. By the age of 26, this was 2011, they're out of college now with an enormous amount of college debt. The jobs are not being offered in the economy because the economy is struggling. So they're out of college with all this debt, without job opportunities, and people were losing their homes. They were foreclosing on their homes. And during that same season, when the economy was in a recession, people can't get jobs. People can't get homes. That was when I was able to buy one because they got so cheap. So I didn't seek money. I sought the kingdom of God. And he was able to bless that. Other people sought money and they didn't get it. Because if you just seek the kingdom of God first, He just adds those things to you. He provides for all of your needs. So seek first the kingdom of God. Matthew 6:19, same chapter, says, "Don't lay up for yourselves treasure on earth. Lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven." That's not saying don't earn money, but money's not your treasure. Your treasure should be in the kingdom of God. That the rewards that you're living for are in heaven, not the temporal rewards of this earth. It's not saying don't earn money. It's not saying don't be wise with your money. But don't let temporal money be your treasure, because moth comes and it fades away. Okay, so this is a biblical, perspective on money. When I stepped out in ministry, and if you want to be a missionary, a full-time ministry, I just stepped out by faith. I had no idea, if money was going to come in or not. If I just knew, God called me to do it. I didn't have like a committee that commissions me out. I didn't have a bunch of churches that said we're going to support you. I didn't have any of that. I just stepped out because I felt the doors opening. Because I don't have anything else to do, and so let's do it now. Don't put off your calling for later. Just jump right in and do it now. Sink or swim. That was my attitude. And I went by faith. I remember the first couple of days, I even having problems sleeping. Like, what's going to happen? What's the future going to be like? And all worried about it. I remember a friend of mine was like, oh, if you're starving, you can, come to my house and we'll feed you. Now, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to starve. America has plenty of soup kitchens, okay? You're not going to starve in America, right? There's plenty of homeless shelters. I'm not going to be on the street. Worst case scenario, I just have to go and find a job, and worst case scenario is not that bad. But I gave it to the Lord. And I said, you know what, God? You've called me to this, and you said in your word, a worker is worthy of his hire. That's your principle. And I am now your employee. You're my employer. I'm completely dependent on you by faith. And the employee doesn't worry how the boss is going to pay the bills. The employee doesn't worry how the employer is going to pay the payroll for all the employees. That's for the boss to worry about, not the employer. So I told God, I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm not going to stress over it. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I'll let you worry about it, God. And if I'm just doing the work, then if you deem it worthy, I know you'll be true to your word and provide. And so that was, I stepped out in faith in 2005, and I can tell you, he's always been faithful to provide. Somehow, some way, I don't know every month how he's going to provide, but every month he provides. Somehow, some way, all of my needs have been met. We've never been late on any payments. We've never defaulted on any bill. Every month, somehow, he provides. He doesn't always give you more than you need, but he gives you what you need when you need it. Not always, more than you need before you need it, but what you need when you need it. Not less than that, and usually not more than that either. So I just lived by faith. I'm not going to worry about it. So, but here is, like I said, this is the formula. Let me write out what my formula is. Somebody asks you, well, how do you build wealth? How do you do it? What's the formula? Well, I came up with it one day. I'm sure other people teach similar, but I don't know if they lay it out this way. Here's the formula for building wealth. Step number 1, is to earn it. Okay, if you want something in life, you have to deserve it. There's no entitlement. Life doesn't owe you anything. It doesn't owe you anything. Okay? If you think you're entitled to something, you have the wrong perspective. Okay? So step number 1, you have to earn it. You want something in life, whatever it is that you want, you can have it if you deserve it. Simple as that. So first you have to earn money, then you live frugal.
Simple.
This is simple. This is the simple formula for building wealth. This is logical. Step number 2, live frugal. Why? Well, step number 3, so you can save. Earn it, live frugal, and save. Listen, some people, all they ever do is number 1. They just earn money their whole life, but their lifestyle is such that it's always gone. They live paycheck by paycheck by paycheck, and they never have it. They never get to even saving. You know, I've had people tell me I've never had more than a few $1,000s in my bank, never more than just a couple thousand. Because all they do is throughout the year they earn tens of thousands. But they never have more than a couple thousand in their bank at any time. Why? Because they just don't live frugal. They live luxurious. They live in indulgence. And it's all gone by the end of the month. It's all gone. You consumed it. You wasted it. Okay. Live frugal. Number 4. Once you save it, you invest it. And I'm going to get into greater detail on every one of these steps. Invest your money. Number 5, you earn a profit from your investments. So now you profit from it. Earn it, live frugal, save, invest, profit. Step number 6, spend it all on a vacation.
Let me write that down.
Yeah, spend all of your profit on a vacation. I remember one couple I knew, they struggled financially just all the time. The husband had a bad work ethic, couldn't hold a job for more than a few weeks. He got tired of it, just quit. You know, he was looking for a job once for like 3 months in the city of Tyler. He just said, I can't find a job, nobody's hiring. I got off the road from traveling and I decided I wanted a little summer job. And I found a job in that same city he had been searching for 3 months. I found a job in 1 day. Now, granted, I was mowing yards with illegal Mexicans, working 12 hours a day in the hot Texas sun, getting blisters on my feet. But we needed the money, you know, and it was for my family, and I had, just wanted a summer job. And but he couldn't find a job for 3 months. Okay. Then what I was getting at. So then him and his wife were doing something that they said, we're going to get $10,000 once we finish this project. They were working on a manual for a business they were writing, and they said, whoa, wow, $10,000. That's nice. What are you going to do once you get that money? Oh, we're going on a big vacation. We need a vacation. We deserve a vacation. We haven't had a vacation for so long. Oh, we're going to go to Hawaii. Well, there goes your money. No wonder you always have financial struggles. As soon as you make it, you consume it. Okay? What happens if you burn all your money? It's all gone. Okay? You burn it, it goes up in smoke. So now you profit. This is the important step. A lot of people don't do reinvest. That's where the wealth starts really getting built. Reinvest your profits. And step number 7, repeat. Yeah, repeat, repeat, repeat. Then go back to number 1 again. Keep earning it. Keep living frugal. Keep saving it. Keep investing. Keep profiting. Keep reinvesting. And then go back again and again. If you do this, you are guaranteed, if you do it right, you are guaranteed to build wealth. There's no doubt about it. It's not a mystery. It's not by chance. If you do these 7 steps, you will absolutely build wealth. Guaranteed. So then, all of this equals wealth. Okay, so getting to the details of this formula. What is wealth? Wealth is defined as overabundance. Wealth is more than you need. It's just like success. Success can be a relative term. What I consider success is different from what you consider success. Everyone has different standards. But at the root of it, success is just accomplishing your goals. Whatever your goals are, if you accomplish it, that's success. So it can be thought of as relative, can be thought of as absolute. Same with wealth. Okay, some people think, if you're making $40,000 a year, that's wealth. Other people say, no, if you're making less than $100,000 a year, it's not wealth. Everyone can have their own arbitrary standard of wealth, but at the root of it, fundamentally, if you have enough for all of your needs, anything above that is wealth. If all of your needs are being met, then anything that goes above and beyond your needs is riches, abundance, wealth. Okay, so you look at different countries. Okay, you say, America's a wealthy country. Is it? You know how much debt the average American has? Okay, they're not in the black, they're in the red. They're not at the stage of profit. They stay at the stage of debt. They have an appearance of wealth. Cars, houses, lots of money's going around, lots of transactions. But fundamentally, they're in debt. Okay, but you can live in a third world country, and if all of your needs are met, well, that's all that matters. You got food, water, shelter. That's what you need. Food, water, shelter. Anything above that is wealth. So in that way, a lot of us are wealthy. You could be wealthy in a third world country. You have more than you need, food, water, and shelter. So if wealth is more than you need, well, why do we want to build wealth? Shouldn't it just be content with having all of our needs met? Well, sure. You should be content with that. That's all you need, by definition. But when you have an overabundance, more than what you need, now what you have is an opportunity to give. Okay, if all of your needs are being met, now you have more than what you need. You have the opportunity of being a blessing to others. Okay, if you can't even meet your own needs, you're not going to meet someone else's needs. Okay, you can't help somebody else if you're below your own needs. I mean, you could, but it's to, great sacrifice. You don't even have your food, water, and shelter. And so a purpose of building wealth so that you would have an opportunity to bless others, an opportunity to give. That's the reason. That's the reason. So money is a means, not the end. It's a means of blessing other people, a means of helping other people, a means of financing ministries, a means of sending forth missionaries. I like this man by the name of Andrew Carnegie. Anyone know who he was?
U.S. Steel.
That's correct. If you ever look, if you look at Manila, you see all these skyscrapers. That's the impact of Andrew Carnegie from Carnegie's steel. It's because of steel that we have these skyscrapers. So every skylight that you see, you can see the influence that Andrew Carnegie left on culture and civilization, even here in Manila. Andrew Carnegie was an American, and he became the richest man in the world in his day. He built Carnegie steel factories, and what he did, he started small. He came from poverty, so from rags to riches, kind of a story. He started these factories building steel. He didn't know, the science of it, but he hired scientists who knew how to make steel. He came up with a new use for it, which was bridges and buildings. So he was innovative and creative. And he would have one factory and kept his expenses down, which meant he paid his workers very little back then. And that's why, it's because of that they ended up getting unions. The workers started unionizing and protesting and boycotting because, the businessman is trying to keep his expenses down. Because if you keep your expenses down, your profits go up. You can increase your profits without increasing your sales if you just decrease your expenses. Right? So, being a good businessman, he tried to keep his expenses down. His mother taught him, watch your pennies and your dollars will take care of themselves. Everyone wants to know, well, how much dollars am I earning? How many dollars am I making? No, keep an eye on your pennies. And if you're managing your pennies right, your dollars will take care of themselves. So manage your expenses. Keep your eye not on your profits. Most businessmen just want to know the bottom line, the net profit. Don't keep your eye on the profit, keep your eye on the expenses. Because if you can lower your expenses, your profits will take care of themselves. So then he would have this factory making steel, then he would reinvest his profits into another factory. He got 2 factories going that are both expenses low, profits high. Take that profit, reinvest in another factory. And now you got 3 factories going, and then another factory, 4 factories going. Then on it went until he had this huge empire. And then he sold it to J.P. Morgan in 1901. J.P. Morgan was a banker. And he paid $480 million for Carnegie Steel. $480 million, which in 1901 was an unthinkable amount of money. By that one transaction, by that one deal, that one sale, he became the richest man in the world. The saying is that, J.P. Morgan and Andrew Carnegie, they were both on the same cruise ship, and I think J.P. Morgan approached him and said, I want to buy Carnegie Steel, how much? And without much thought, Andrew Carnegie just wrote down a number and gave it to him, and J.P. Morgan said, sold. That's it. Done deal. And he realized later, he says, I realized if I had asked for more, I probably would have gotten more. He just took the first offer. And that's an equivalent, $480 million. You know how much that is today? $310 billion. Oh. Can you imagine? Being a poor boy, an immigrant from Ireland or Scotland it was, an immigrant to the United States. Legally. Taught some very, very basic economic principles. Okay, living frugal is the same thing as keeping your expenses down. Okay, watch your pennies and your dollars will take care of themselves. Reinvest your profits. That's how you scale your business. That's how you scale your company. Reinvest, reinvest, reinvest. Just very basic economics. This made Andrew Carnegie the richest man in the world. $310 billion. That's unthinkable. You know what? But I bring up Andrew Carnegie because I like his philosophy of wealth. Not just how he built it, but what he did with it. You know what Andrew Carnegie said? He said, if I die a millionaire, I die a failure. I like that. Most people are the opposite. Oh, I need to die a millionaire. They live their whole life just to make money so that they can retire and die a millionaire. Carnegie said, no, if I die a millionaire, I die a failure. He said when he was a young man, he wrote out his plans for life. He said, the first half of my life, I will make as much money as I can. He said, the second half of my life, I will give it all away. Yeah. So if I die a millionaire, I die a failure. Because he says, I want to give it all away. And that's what he did. He built libraries. He built schools. You go all over America. Here's Carnegie Hall and Carnegie Library. He's the reason America has so many libraries. You want to, invest in the knowledge of our society. Increase your knowledge, increase your income. Increase your knowledge, improve society. So built libraries all over. He just gave it all away. John Wesley. Now Carnegie, I don't know if he was a believer. I've read some things about him in relation to God and the Bible. But John Wesley is another man who had a philosophy of economics just like Carnegie. And John Wesley said, make all the money that you can, save all the money that you can, so that you can give all the money that you can. Okay? So you make.
It was a triangle of financial success.
Make all you can. Yep. Save all you can for the reason that you can give all that you can. God loves a happy giver. The more you have, the more you can give. I like what Leonard Ravenhill said about John Wesley, a man who had this mentality. Now Wesley was, a preacher.
Right behind you.
Yeah, here, look, there he is, right there. This is John Wesley. Okay. Now Wesley Leonard Ravenhill said, now, when John Wesley died, what did he leave? He had a faded Geneva gown that he preached in all over England. He had a handful of books that somebody gave him. And he had 6 silver spoons, which he said to give to each of the poor men that carried him to his grave. So everyone who carried his casket to the grave would get one of these silver spoons. And that's all that he had when he died. And 6 pound notes, a little bit of money. So a faded Geneva gown, a handful of books, 6 silver spoons, it's about 6 pound notes, a little bit of money, and that's all that he had. And Ravenhill says, oh, and there's one other thing that he left.
Yeah.
What was that thing? Oh, yes, the Methodist Church. The Methodist Church, which was birthed in revival, which blessed multitudes, which literally changed the course of England, changed the history of the whole country, and America at that. Sure, he made money, Ravenhill said. Sure, he made money. He made an enormous amount of money. But he gave it all away. He sent out missionaries. He started churches. He printed Bibles. He printed hymnals. And when he died, he was worth about $30. That's the way to spend your money. That's the way to live your life. Okay, principle number 1. You have to earn it. You have to earn it. The Bible says in Luke 10:7, it says, a worker is worthy of his hire. So the biblical principle, earn it. Commit, do worthy work. Work that is worthy of hire. Work that is worthy of an income. Okay? Money is made by trading. All money. All money is made by trading. You're not, you get into like investments, okay, you're trading stocks or bonds, mutual funds, what have you. But even in this level of earning, you're trading something. You're trading your time and you're trading your talent. Okay, how do you improve your income? Well, the poor have the mentality of, we need to raise, the minimum wage. We need to boycott the government. We need to have the government impose laws upon companies that, we need more money. So, we need to raise minimum wage. That's not how you raise your money, your income. That's going to keep you at the level, if that's your philosophy, that's going to keep you in poverty. Because all you're ever going to get is the minimum. Yeah. That's equivalent to slavery. Okay, what does a slave get? Food, water, shelter. Just the minimum to survive. Okay, well if you're getting the minimum wage, just enough to pay your bills, just enough to get by, you're just as poor as a slave. With just a little more, freedom of mobility. So if you want to increase your income, you need to either give more time, okay, which means you're trading more time for more money, work overtime, or to increase your talent, become more valuable to the company, become more talented. And you do that by increasing your knowledge. Your talent is the result of your knowledge. Now, knowledge can be acquired by different means. You can go to college, go to a classroom. You can also, alternatives would be like find a mentor who passes on the knowledge to you. Or experience. That's my greatest teacher. And unfortunately, I've had to learn the hard way for many, many things, just from experiences. And so you always increase your knowledge, always increase your talent. Oh, yeah. Let life be an opportunity to see how talented you can become, how valuable you can become. So you increase on this level, increase your income by increasing your time and talent, because you're trading for money. At this level, like a worker is worthy of his hire, what you're doing is you're bringing value to the marketplace. Everybody who makes money is bringing value to the marketplace. On a business level, you think, okay, so they're bringing a product to the marketplace to sell. That product has value to the buyer. But even when you're just an employee, you are trading your time and your talent. Your time and talent has value to a company. So you're bringing value to the marketplace where the demand is the business, the supply is your time and talent. But it's a very competitive field because there's lots of different employees, and so that's not where money is made. Like, wealth is not built at that level. An income earns you a living. And if you live frugal, you can save some of it. Okay? This is the level of wage. Okay. Wealth is not built by wages. This is not. Okay, wealth is built by profits. But you still have to earn and improve your ability to earn, improve the value that you bring to the marketplace by improving your skill, by improving your knowledge, by being willing to give more time. What you're doing at this level, and really at any business, is you're convincing people to pay you. When you're earning money, if you have an employer, you have to convince him to pay you, and that's the first step. That's the fundamental principle. You have to convince people to pay you. All money comes from people. Where does money come from? Other people. That's the only place it comes from. All money comes from other people. So if you want money, you have to convince other people to give it to you. That's the only way it's made. In anything, in business, in charity, in employment, money comes from other people, period. So you convince other people to pay you. The question is, how much are you going to convince them to pay you? How much can you convince somebody to pay you? Or the question is, how many people can you convince to pay you? Those are the two questions you need to ask at that level. All money comes from other people. You have to convince them to give it to you. Okay? Yeah. By either offering time, offering talent, offering a product, offering a service, offering a cause. You need to present reasons to their mind to give you money. Motives. Moral agency, right?
Yes.
Ideas to the mind. So the question you ask is, well, how much can you convince them? That's based on how much value are you offering them. Employment is a trade. How valuable is your time? How valuable is your talent? And that determines how much someone's going to pay you for it. So how much or how many people? How many people within the marketplace can you convince to buy your product, to get behind your cause, to employ your services? Okay, so that's how money is made. So everyone is selling something. You sell your talent and your time. That's the worst way of making money, by the way. Because there's only so much time in the day. Okay? And we all have the same amount of time in the day. So that selling your time, selling your talent, that's the worst way of making money, but it's the most common. You also sell a product. Now that's similar to selling your time and talent. When you sell your time and talent, you are the product. Okay, so everyone is, even the employee is selling the product. The product is himself. Here's what I know, here's what I can do, here's how much time I'm willing to give you. Your product is yourself. But I'm talking about product in like a physical commodity. Okay, cars, books, whatever, a physical thing, that's what I'm thinking of. So you trade. Give me money and I'll give you this. Another way of making money is to sell somebody on your cause. Okay, that's like charities. We feed the poor in Africa. Or we build houses for the homeless. And, these charities all take a percentage for administrative fees, which means, like as a company, they have expenses and salaries. People don't work for free. They have bills to pay too. So when you give to a charity, typically 100% does not go to the cause they're promoting, but they convince you to give to their cause. Ministry is the same thing. You show someone, this is the ministry that I do, I am a missionary, I do this, and see how many people can you convince to get behind your cause? How many supporters can you convince to give? So everyone is selling something. People say, oh, I don't want to be a salesman, I don't want to study sales. Why not? Everyone does it. Everyone sells something. Time, talent, product, cause. But selling your time and talent is the worst way of making money because you only have so many, or services. Okay, that's another one, which is similar to your time and talent. If you're a plumber, if you're an electrician, if you're a investment consultant, whatever it is, that has to do. You're giving your time and your talent, providing a service for somebody else. You're their servant. This is the worst way of making money because let's say you are a plumber. There's only so many toilets you can fix in a day. And if your money is dependent on trading time for money, you have a limit. Okay, so it's capped. So you earn your wages. Wealth is built in the profits. So this is where you start. It's not something I heard, a principle that I really liked. It's not about working harder, but working smarter. Because I always thought, if you want to make money, you just got to go out and work hard. Work hard, hard, hard. But lots of people work hard and are poor. In fact, the poor work the hardest.
Yeah.
The rich work the least. When you get to the top level, the rich don't work at all. It's just their money that works for them. They don't work at all. So it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. The difference between the poor and the rich, the poor people just work hard but not smart. The rich work smart but not hard.
In that Rich Dad, Poor Dad book, he says the poor work for money, but the rich make money work for them.
That's exactly, that's the investment phase, which is where you want to get to, where money works for you instead of you working for money. But at the earning level, you're working for money and trading your time, trading your talent. So, when you think, well, how can I make more money? You think, just give more time. That's working harder, working longer. Think about how you can increase the value that you give to a company. Think about how you can increase the value you bring to the marketplace. That's working smarter. Okay, why does a company pay you anything at all? What's the idea of employment? It's real simple. The idea of employment if an individual, through his work, through his time, through his talent, can make a company, say $20 an hour, then you should be able to convince, if you can do that, if you can earn the company $20 an hour, you can convince them to give you $10 an hour in pay. That's how employment works. Or maybe you convince them to give you $15 an hour. I don't know, maybe 18 or more. But you have to earn them more than they pay you. That's how employment works. They're not going to employ you if it costs more to employ you, than what you're actually bringing into the company. So if you want to increase your income, but look, if all you bring to the company is $20 an hour, your income is never going to rise higher than that. It can't. They don't have more to pay you than $20. That's all you make them. Okay, when I was working landscape and these wealthy homes in this rich neighborhood, they would employ they would tell the boss, we'll give you $20 an hour to come pick all the weeds out of our garden. So what he would do is that he'd find, a worker who was willing to work for $10 an hour. And so here, I'll give you. So he'd say, I'll give you $10 an hour to go pull all those weeds. So he'd go work for $10, pull all the weeds. Now he'd pay his employee $10. He'd pocket the other $10. That's how employment works. I have a friend. His name was Roman. He was also a drug dealer. We were competing in high school. He was better than I was economically. I didn't sell drugs for money, really. I sold it for like the social thing of just, knowing people, going to parties. It was social to me. And free drugs, too. But he I remember being at his house and he had like all this money he was like counting in the back corner. And I'm like, where did he get all that money? Smart guy. Ruined his life on drugs. Lost his mind to drugs. But he knew economics better than I did when we were in high school. And his father, we lived in Connecticut, so the snow and the blizzards would come, and he'd have to go in and shovel the field or shovel the driveway. And his father didn't want to do it, so he'd say to his son, go shovel the driveway. He said, well, give me $20. I'm not going to work for free, Give me $20. I'll go do it for you. And reluctantly, finally, his dad says, fine. Give him $20. He says, I'm not going to do it. I'm boycotting. I'm on like a union. I'm boycott. I'm not going to work. You don't pay me $20. So the dad finally says, fine. Gives him $20. Just be done with it. Then my friend would go outside with a $20 bill. He'd wait for the plow to be coming by down the street, and he'd wave $10 in the air and say, hey, I give you $10 to plow my driveway. So the guy says, sure, whatever. It takes him 2 seconds. Just plow the driveway, give him $10. So my friend now, he just pocketed $10 and did no work. Okay? So he went from being the employee, a person employs the company as an employee, the company employs a worker, and so then the company goes from being the employee to being the employer, the middleman that pockets money. So back to the point, if you want to increase the income you get from a company or a business, if that's the level that you're working at, you need to look here. Don't look here how much they're paying you. Look at how much you're paying them. And if you want them to pay you more, you have to earn them more. Okay? If you can somehow bring enough value, enough time and talent, enough skill to the company that now they're getting $50 an hour from what you're doing, well, then you can get $45 an hour from them. Or $40. Whatever you negotiate. Whatever you get what you negotiate for. So if you want to get more money from the company, then you need to increase the value that you bring to them. That's the idea of employment. So yeah, the rich and the poor have the same 24 hours in a day, but one works smarter, one simply works harder. People pay for quality of labor, that people pay for value, period. So if you want more from them, give them more value. People pay for the service that you render or the product that you sell, the cause that you promote. So you need to sell a product, sell a service, sell a cause. Money comes from other people. It's just how it is. So you have to interact with the marketplace. You have to somehow interact with other people. That's where money's being traded. When it comes to earning, you can be employed by a company. So you're just working in a company, or you are like employed by society, which means like that's a company is employed by society. A company is employed by, so you can, if you're in the earning, this is where you work for a business, this is where you have your own business. And it's all, I remember just working like, I was probably, well, when I was 16 years old, okay? I was 16 years old, I dropped out of high school, started working full-time in a factory, and I realized, I'm giving 40 hours a week to get the owner of this company rich. I mean, he's the richest guy here. He works the least out of all of us, and I'm just giving 40 hours a week to build up his business, to build up his company. I'm like, man, if I gave 40 hours a week, couldn't I just figure out a way to build my own company? If I'm giving 40 hours a week. So you have an entrepreneurial mind when you get to the point where you think of having your own business. Having your own business is a lot easier than you might think. Okay? This is how you start your own business. Solve a problem. Your attitude towards problems is everything. For some people, a problem is a discouragement. Okay? This is a problem. You get down and out about it. Okay? But you know what problems are? Problems are opportunities. That's what they are. It's very simple. Solve a problem. That equals start a business. If you can solve somebody's problem, they'll pay you for it.
Yeah.
Why do we buy air conditioners? It solves a problem. Why do we buy fans? It solves a problem. Okay, why do we buy cars? It solves a problem. Okay, same thing goes with, I like the idea of a B2B business. This is where you have a business that doesn't service individuals. You have a business that services other businesses. Okay, and other businesses have money, and so it's a great way to have a business, a B2B business. And the idea here is find a problem within the business, whatever business it might be, solve that problem for that business. Now you have a job opportunity. Now they'll pay you to solve their problem. Or maybe you just give them the knowledge they need to solve it themselves. So you're not even solving the problem for the business. You're just telling them how it can be solved. They just pay you for the knowledge. Knowledge is one of the most valuable commodities that there is. Now you're not even doing the work. You're just a business consultant. Say, hey, you know that problem that you deal with in that industry? I know how to solve it. Give me this much money, I'll give you the answer. You become a business consultant. And then you look at the whole industry and say, well, hey, if that business has that problem, then their competitors probably have that problem too. So then you can go to all their competitors and they'll employ you to solve your problem. That's how a business is started. Solve a problem. And so you want to get, not everyone's called to be an entrepreneur, not everyone's called to be a business owner, but it is a higher earner in the company. It's better. Or what they teach at the Harvard Business School, find a need and fill it. They start a business, find something that people need and fulfill their need. Very simple. Economics, I like economics, I think that it's logical. It's simple, reasonable, rational, and that's the way my mind thinks in like these short little one-liners, logical lines. That's how I preach in the open air, little one-liners. Find a need and fill it. That's basic supply and demand. Find a demand, bring the supply. So if you say, oh, I want to start a business, I just don't know what to do, start looking for problems. That's all you got to do. Look for a problem. Look for a need. Okay, people go out looking for opportunities. I like that one guy I was listening to said, don't look for opportunities, look for problems. Problems are the opportunities.
We've seen that really a lot after the typhoon disaster in Tacloban, and the Messiah says whole cities were washed away and smashed. This mega disaster became mega opportunity.
Yeah,
with hardware and plumbing and cement providers, and from even till now, the hardware stores are still pumping out because there's still an increase in rebuilding. Everything from bridges to roads to houses to roofings to...
Yeah, we get hailstorms in East Texas, and it damages the roofs. And so whenever there's a big hailstorm, man, that's a problem for us. But it's an opportunity for the roofers. They start driving around the neighborhoods just to spot with their eye, oh, that house has hail damage. And a friend of mine worked for the roofing company. Now that's hard work. My first job, technically, was when I was like 14 years old, a summer job working as a roofer. It was horrible. Horrible. Hot, back-breaking. You can only do roofing for so many years. Your back goes out. Hard work. So my friend's working on a roofing company. It's hard work. But he realized something. The way the company is operating, the way the company is working, okay, you get these hailstorms, you find these houses, you get them to sign the contract that says, we will replace your roof, and the insurance company actually pays for it. And that contract is the real value to the company. So my friend stopped doing the roofing and just started driving neighborhoods looking for roofs. He'd have a stack full of papers, he'd go up to the owner and say, hey, you have hail damage on your roof. I could see it from the road. Did you know that your insurance company will replace your roof for free? I'll help walk you through it. You don't have to pay anything at all. You get a new roof here. Just Here's our contract. Fill out the information, sign here. Then you have a whole stack of contracts, just paperwork. Then you go to the company and say, I'll sell you these contracts. This contract is worth, say, $6,000. To the company, give me $1,000 for it, and you can have it. It's yours. And so now he's not doing the hard work of roofing. He's not working harder. He's working smarter. And so find a problem and solve it. I like information products. Those are the best. Monetize your knowledge. We all know something. Monetize your knowledge. That's very scalable. If you have like I said, time and talent is very limited to how many hours you could give in a day. But if you sell an information product like, a book, or the best is like an e-book, then there's no limit as to how many people you could really service. An e-book you can send to 10 people, you can send to 1,000 people. That's why these e-books on Amazon, are great. If you're a bestseller, it's unlimited. Information products, especially if it's a digital download, then there's really no limit as to how much of the demand you can bring the supply to. Also, I like the idea here, lifestyle entrepreneurs, like people say, people start with building a business, and then they think secondly about what kind of lifestyle they want to live. Where this concept of a lifestyle entrepreneur, start with what kind of life do you want to live, and then build your business around that. And see how can you have a business that supports that. For me, I want to be able to go anywhere at any time and tell everybody about Jesus. That's what I want to do. I want to travel the world fulfilling the Great Commission. So how can I do that? So I was able to establish a ministry as a missionary with supporters that now gives me the freedom of time and freedom of finances to just go anywhere, at any time and tell everybody about Jesus. And so I didn't have many economic principles growing up or when I got started, but I did know one thing, or two things rather. Somebody told me, maybe my mother, he said, find a job that you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life, right? If you love to do it, it's not really work to you. That's what evangelism is for me, It's not really work, it's my passion. I love it. And then secondly, not just do something you love to do, but do it so well that people will literally pay you to do it. Just become the best at it. Find something you love to do and do it so well, people will pay you to do it. That's the best. So now you're living the lifestyle that you want to live. Think of it this way. Okay, if I'm able to get $4,000 a month, that's a good monthly income. If I get $4,000 a month, that enables me to travel the world preaching Jesus. That's equivalent to having $500,000 invested at 10%. That will give you an income of around $4,000 a month. So that then people want to retire. I had friends, I remember they wanted to retire so that they could be missionaries. Okay, so if you just can develop a lifestyle where you're getting the income that you want to live the lifestyle that you need, that's even better than the people that just work their whole life so that they could retire, so that they could then do what they really want. Okay. So, yeah, B2B businesses, preferably something with a high profit margin, like not a restaurant, very low profit margin. I see them come and go all the time in my town. They just don't last. With businesses and earning it, again, you want to catch a trend. Same thing with investing in stocks. You want to catch the trend, which means what are people buying, and then you just tag along with that. So something big now is apps. There's a big trend. Everyone's buying apps. If you're an app developer, a good one, you're going to make a killing, especially because there's no limit as to how many people your app can service. Look at Sears or JCPenney's, Macy's, Blockbuster. They lost the trend. They didn't adapt to the changing environment. And now JCPenney's is going out of business because Amazon is putting them all out of business. Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, online retail is putting out the physical retail stores. Because you have to adapt with the changing culture as a business. You have to stick with the trends. And if you lose the trend, you lose the business. That's just the way it is. Blockbuster's out of business. Technical analysis with stocks is just learning how to catch the trend. Even when I make YouTube videos, if I find something's trending, like everyone's talking about something Donald Trump said or whatever, if I make a YouTube video about that topic, it's going to get way more views. Catch the trend. Let's see, it is 10 o'clock, so I think it's time for a 15-minute break, and we'll finish when you come back. Okay, you guys enjoying this? Yeah. Good. So, earning by being an employee or by having your own company increases your earning ability. Again, I was just talking about before you left the idea of catching a trend. If you catch a trend, you're in business. If you lose a trend, you're out of business. That's the way that is. Another idea I want to introduce to you is the idea of a passive income. Now that really has to do more with the investing, but it can also be at the business level of earning. So I'll just talk about it here. Ideas of passive income is like a business that you establish, you set up the business, and then it's a hands-free business. It just makes money on its own, like it's a machine that makes you money that doesn't require too much maintenance and time. It just makes money on its own. Okay, the idea with the passive income would be like a rental property. Buy a property and rent it low. It's relatively low maintenance. If you're leasing it, there's no maintenance at all. If you're owner financing it, then you're like a bank, and again, there's no maintenance on it. So then it's a passive income. You set it up, but then after that, it's not a 9 to 5. A monthly income, that's not a 9 to 5. That's passive income, or even real estate over time. If the value of your house increases, that's money that you're making that you're not working for. So that's passive income. The market, the value is just increasing over time with the trend. Car washes, that's a low, relatively low maintenance means passive income. If you own a car wash, of course you have to have money to start these, so it's more on the investment level. But it's still earning in a business way. Parking lots, parking garages. You know, who wouldn't want to own a parking garage downtown New York City? You know, and everyone's just, every day, they're just feeding the machine money. All you're giving them is a parking pass. You know, so you're paying for the ink and you're paying for the paper, and of course, and you pay for the building. But it becomes just a money-making machine that you're not even doing anything with. Okay, how did Donald Trump make money? Now here's an interesting one. When you study business models, like it's the same thing. We had a little dresser that we were selling that we didn't want anymore, and a lady came and bought it, so she's going to paint it and redo it and sell it at like a flea market for more money. You know, so she looks for them, she buys low and sells high, and she just improves it. And that's what real estate development is. You buy a property and you build a house on it, or you build a business on it, you sell it. It's the same concept as someone who is fixing up furniture. They're developing the furniture, or they're developing properties. It's the same business model. What Donald Trump did, he built these like Trump Towers, okay? So he buys good real estate at a good price, then he develops the property, makes it more valuable by putting a huge skyscraper on it. Then he leases out all of the office space. So this huge skyscraper is now being leased to all these businesses. Every month these businesses are paying him money, and he's just sitting back collecting all the money. You know, so it's nice. So parking garages, parking lots, campgrounds. If you set up your campground, it's the same type of passive business. The idea is you want to be like the owner of a business where you hire people and put yourself out of business. Hire people that are better than you are, that will run your business for you, and you put yourself out of a job. So you want to eliminate anything that's unnecessary. You want to automate anything that can be automated. You want to outsource, and you want to hire people that are better than yourself. Put yourself out of a job. What I do, little things like I have, like Mitch has T-shirts, okay, and I have T-shirts on my website. Now, on my end, it's passive because I just design it, upload it to the internet, and then the printer prints it and ships it as orders come in. I set it up once, and then I'm done. Okay, I don't do anything for my T-shirt store. I don't process any orders. I don't ship any shipments. All I do is promote it on social media, and it becomes passive. A lot of people make money off these T-shirts, these print-on-demand T-shirts that like catch a trend. Like Christmas comes around, they make some funny Christmas T-shirt, they promote it on Facebook, and they sell, 1,000 of them. They're catching a trend. It's St. Patrick's Day, they design a shirt. But it can be a form of passive income. You design it once, set it up once, and then it's hands-free. Same thing with my bookstore. Okay, I upload it to a website that prints it and ships it. Once I write the book, once I format it, once I upload it, design the cover, all my work is done. Okay, I set up a bookstore like 6 years ago online. And I haven't done like anything for it, but it's given me a monthly income for these past 6 years. Money that I'm not working for it anymore. I did the work six years ago. In fact, it only took me about a week. I did 1 week of work 6 years ago, and that's paid me a monthly income ever since. And so that's the idea of a passive income. The printer receives the orders, prints the books, ships the books, and they're doing all the work for me. So they're my employee. I've outsourced it to them. Same thing with like an online course. I'm going to teach them. I have knowledge for evangelism. You want to monetize your knowledge. So I'm going to teach an evangelism course and record it and put it online. And then all the work is done. Once I teach it once, my work is done. Once it's online, it's just a matter of marketing and promoting. Also with income, you want to think of something called multiple sources of income. Not just one source. How many different sources of income can you have? And that's why passive income is important. Because passive income allows you to set up a business that's hands-free, and then you are free to set up another business that's hands-free. And then set up another business that's hands-free. I once added up all the different sources of income that I had. Now, they're not all great. They're not all like, significant amounts of money, but monthly income. And it was something like 7 different sources of income. From, being a missionary, I have supporters. That's a source of income. Having a YouTube channel that has ads on it is a little bit of income. Having a bookstore is an income. Having T-shirts is income. Another thing I've done is, and this has to do with like retail, a little business I did on the side. I would flip or sell leather bags because you ever see like those cool messenger bags, almost like Indiana Jones style. It's leather, goes across your chest, and people like walk through the airport. I always wanted one. I see them in the mall. They're fancy looking. They're nice. And I like the style. They're like $300 at the mall. And I'm like, when am I ever going to have $300 for a bag? It's like, you talk about like women who buy these expensive purses, I'm like covering this man purse, and I'm like, but I'm like, I'm not going to, really, I want a bag for me to, when I travel to the airport, put my laptop in it, put my books in it, just to be able to travel through the airport, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But I'm like, when am I ever going to have $300 for this cool bag? Never. So there's got to be another way. How can I get a bag? So I looked online, and I went to eBay, and I looked up leather messenger bag. And you know what I found? An entrepreneur who is a supplier who manufactures them in India. And he sells them on eBay for like $65 free shipping, or $45 plus shipping. So it always averaged out to be like $65. I thought, man, that's undervalued. Okay, that's where you make your money in investing, buying something undervalued. So I'm like, man, I could buy this leather bag for $65. So I did. I bought it, and then when it arrived, and I thought, what I can do now? I wonder, just an experiment, what if I put it on Craigslist for the local market? So I buy it internationally, bought it outsourced out of country. Now I'm going to sell it locally. What if I put it on Craigslist for $130? That's still cheaper than the mall that sells them for $300. So I put it on Craigslist. Here, I got a leather bag. I'm using it still. It's slightly used. Here's a nice leather bag. Good for traveling, the airport. I travel a lot, and I bought this overseas. Kind of gives it more of a story. Makes it a little neat. And I say it's only $130. They sell them in the mall for $300. And sure enough, someone said, "Oh, I want it. I've been looking for a bag like that, but I never wanted to spend hundreds of dollars for it." And they willingly give me, "Here's $130, no questions asked." So then I had $130. So what are you going to do with $130? Buy 2 bags. 50% I made. I doubled my money, so now I buy 2 bags. Now I can, and I sold one and I kept the other. So now I have a free bag. Okay. First I was in the situation where I didn't know how I was going to buy a bag at all. And it's $300. I can't afford that. I got a wife and kids. How am I going to pay $300 for a bag? Forget it. But now I figured out a way to get a free one. So I kept one and sold the other. Sold that for $130 from a guy who said, "Man, this is so well priced. I buy it. I've wanted one for a long time." He was so happy with the price. So was I. And And so now I have a bag and $130. So not only did I get a free bag, I got profit. I got money. I got my $65 back plus another $65. So now I could buy 2 more bags and keep it going. So that's the reinvest, and then you scale your business or scale your investments by reinvest. So that's just a little thing. So multiple sources of income. That just became one little source of income. I buy a bag, buy it internationally, sell it locally, and it was something I did passively on the side. It wasn't a big deal, But it was a source of income. It was great, 50% on my investment. The idea with a business, you want to service a particular niche. They say if everybody is your customer, nobody is your customer. Okay, you really need to be specific. Who are you servicing? Who's going to buy your product? You need to be, the more specific, the better. Okay, you need to know their age group. You need to know their location. You need to know where do they hang out. Okay, the more details that you have about your customer, the better your marketing will be. Otherwise, you waste a lot of time marketing to people that are never going to buy it. So you look at GoPro. That guy made billions of dollars. Okay, you know how he started his business? He had a business that failed, whatever it was, and he was depressed about it. So he just wanted to relax, go on a surfing vacation because his business failed. And he wanted to document his vacation somehow. So he looked for a camera that he could use while he was surfing, but he couldn't find a thing that was really what he wanted. So he had a problem. And that problem became an opportunity because he was like, "Hey, there's an opportunity here. I bet there's other surfers just like me who would like a camera that suits their needs better." Every camera, is not for the athlete. There was no athletic cameras at the time. It's all what you normally have just a handheld camcorder, which is not good for surfing. And so he ended up coming up with the idea, found a manufacturer overseas who would print the first batch of cameras for him for $5,000, and so he made one, and then he started marketing them specifically to the athletic niche. People that are surfers, that are bikers, that are whatever. It's a specific niche. And found a need and filled it. And the guy made billions of dollars in just 14 years. So whenever your business is, pick a niche. Find out what their needs are. And then meet those needs. Alright, we gotta move on. So live frugal. Okay? You have to live below your means. Most people live above their means. Okay, here's the recipe. If you live below your means, okay, that equals profit. Run your personal finances like a business. Clear your expenses, get past your expenses. Now you're into the realm of profit. keep your expenses down so your profits go up. If you live below your means, you increase your profit. That's the recipe. If you are living above your means, that is a recipe for debt. Debt, debt, debt. If you ever want to get out of debt, you have to get past living above your means.
Just like profit or loss.
Yeah, of course it is. If you're living above your means, you're at a loss. Your outcome is greater than your income. Your expenses are greater than your income. So this whole idea, live below your means. You want more coming in than what is going out. If what goes out is more than what comes in, you're in debt. This is America right here. Everyone wants to live above their means. They want to live in houses they can't really afford. They want to drive cars they can't really afford. The government wants to have programs they can't really afford. So the individuals, everyone's in debt. The government is in unbelievable amount of debt. You become an indentured servant. The Bible says that the lendee is the servant of the lender. And so you become an indentured servant. Even your children, through the national debt, become indentured servants. This is not a biblical way of living. The Bible says, owe no man anything. We have to get out of this debt mentality. If you want to live above your means, find out how much you actually earn and how much you can actually live. So what I did, look, when I was 20 years old, and I'm married, and we got married, we lived in a one-room apartment. Trying to live below our means. Found the cheapest apartment we could find. We're just starting out in life. Okay? So you don't want to, you don't buy the biggest house you can stretch your budget to afford. Forget it. Live in the smallest little apartment you could find. And then we lived in a trailer, traveling the country in a trailer. That was our means. We were able to buy a little trailer debt-free. And so we lived in a trailer. Now we did a good deal. We bought it low. Found the best deal we could find. Sold it high. Which means we basically ended up living in it for free. Not only for free, since we sold it for more than we bought it for, we got paid to live in it. And so, because we simply lived according to our means, because I lived in a trailer for a few years, lived below my means, I was able to make profit, significant profit. That's the recipe. So you have to be frugal. Live below your means. This is unsustainable. This system of constantly living above your means constantly increases your debt. It's going to collapse. It's unsustainable. It ultimately leads to bankruptcy. This is the opposite of the direction you want to go. You don't want to go the way of bankruptcy.
Yeah.
You want to go the way of wealth. This is the formula to build wealth. This is the formula to build debt and bankruptcy, to fail miserably. So, very simple. Especially young people, they live above their means. They want to live the same lifestyle their parents had, live in the same type of house their parents had, same type of cars their parents had. They stretch their budget, they live way above their means, they accumulate all this debt. Forget it. Get the smallest apartment you could find. Get a nice, just reliable car. So you want to make, very simple, make more than you spend. Or, put it more sophisticatedly, you want to spend less than you make. Isn't that sophisticated? Very simple. This was one of the few economic principles I really understood as a newly married man. It just made sense. Make more than you spend. Spend less than you make. You have to do that. Every business needs to operate that way. The government should operate that way, and it doesn't. And family government needs to operate that way. Because what you're spending, that's your expenses. What you're making, that's your income. So when your expenses go up, your profits go down. So you want to look at your family budget. Where's our money going? What are we spending it on? And what can we start eliminating? Oh, look how much we're eating out. Wasting all this money. If we just bought groceries, it's so much cheaper. Let's eliminate that. So that then you eliminate expenses. Find out how many expenses you can eliminate. And the more expenses you eliminate, the more profits will go up. Okay, like I said, how do you increase your profits without increasing your sales? Or without giving more time, more talent? Simply by eliminating your expenses. You increase your profits by decreasing your expenses. Without doing anything different as far as how much work you're doing, or how much service, how much time you're giving, how many products you're selling. You can just increase your profits by doing this one simple thing: keep your expenses down. Watch your pennies, dollars take care of themselves. So you have to manage your money. You have to manage it. Just like you have to manage your time. What happens if you don't budget your time? Just waste it. Like, man, where'd the time go? I didn't get anything done. Well, you didn't budget your hours. So you didn't budget your day. You didn't manage your time. If you don't manage your time, you end up wasting it. Same things for money. You have to manage your money. You have to write out how much your income is and where it's all going to go. Because if you don't manage it, you waste it. Just like your time. The idea with living frugal is you have to manage it, or else it will be wasted. That's just the simple law. Be faithful in little, the Bible says, then you can be faithful in much. If you can't manage a little bit of money, God can't trust you with a lot of it. If you're wasting a little bit of money, guess what? You're going to waste a lot of money. Like, you got athletes who end up making millions of dollars, but they're horrible with managing their money. And they end up going bankrupt because they're constantly living above their means. Look at like the actor Nicolas Cage. He's constantly buying properties, living a lifestyle he really couldn't afford. You think that they're super rich, but they're super dumb. They're good at earning it. They earn it and earn it, but they don't know how to live frugal. They don't know how to save it. They don't know how to invest it. So they end up going poor, even though they're high earners. They make millions of dollars. Look at Johnny Depp. Okay, Johnny Depp made he's worth $400 million. $400 million. It's enormous. But he's buying mansions, buying private jets, buying islands, private islands. And now they're saying he's in financial trouble. Like really serious financial trouble. And maybe they'll go bankrupt. Look at these athletes. They make millions of dollars as football players. Okay, they're high earners, but they don't manage it right. They're rich people that live the same lifestyle habits as the poor. They don't keep track of their money. They live above their means, and that's a recipe for poverty. So you have to manage your money, or else it will be wasted. You have to tell it where to go. This dollar is going for this. This dollar is going for that. Tell your money where to go. Be in charge. Because if you're not faithful in the little, God could give you $1 million and it's squandered and wasted, just like your monthly, paycheck was when it was just a little bit. If you're going to be faithful in much, you must learn to be faithful in the little. Tell it where to go. See, money is either saved or it is spent little by little. That's what I realized early on. Little things add up.
Yeah.
You don't realize it. Oh, this is just a $5 thing. I can afford that. And then tomorrow you find another $5 thing. If you spend $5 every day, that adds up by the end of the month. That's why, smoking is such a horrible habit. They're spending, $10 a day now. I remember it was $2.50 for a pack of cigarettes. Now they're spending $10. for a bag of cigarettes. That adds up every day. $10 a day, $70 a week. That's a lot of money out of your paycheck. So money is saved or spent little by little. You have to save it little by little. If you save $10 a day, then by the end of the week, that's $70. So you have to switch your mindset from being a consumer to being a saver. That's the only way you become an investor. Don't consume all of your money. Learn to save it. So the idea of saving for Scripture, okay, Genesis 41, 17 to 41. This is the story of Joseph in Egypt, 7 years of famine, 7 years of abundance. What was the wisdom of God through Joseph? How do you prepare for the 7 years of famine? By saving during the 7 years of plenty. That's how you prepare for the 7 years of famine. Save during the 7 years of plenty. When I got started in ministry, okay, there was an author who, when I first stepped out in faith, I want to go full-time in ministry, I'm going to travel, I'm going to preach. There's an author by the name of Mark Cahill. He wrote a book called One Thing You Can't Do in Heaven. Really good book. He got my email newsletter that I showed I was going out full-time by faith, and he wrote me a check. He sent me a check for $5,000. Biggest check I ever got, at least back then. And my mother was like, I can't believe, because he sent it to my mother's house. You know, I was working a job before for like $2,000. Now I went out by faith and got $5,000 my first month. But I didn't know what's going to come the second month or the third month, if anything at all. So I just guarded that. I was like, well, that's going to have to last me for 5 months. You know, because I don't know if anything else is ever going to come. You never know what tomorrow is going to bring. Tomorrow might be your years of famine. So you have to save during the 7 years of plenty. Okay, so the biblical idea of saving, future planning. Plan your future. Prepare for the 7 years. So it's saved or spent little by little. The principle for saving is very simple. It's not hard. If you will learn this one principle, forget the rest, forget the investing and the reinvesting. If you will just learn to save, you're doing better than most Americans, you're doing better than most people, and it's very simple. Here it is. Here's the principle.
Pay yourself first.
Well, pay yourself first is good, but spend 70 cents for every dollar that you make. That's it. That's all you have to do. If you earn $1, never spend $1. If you earn $1, you only have 70 cents to spend. That's it. Then you have 10% for tithing, 10% for taxes, and 10% for savings. That's all you have to do. If you spend $1 for every dollar that you earn, you end up with nothing. If you spend $1.01 for every dollar that you make, you end up broke and in debt and ultimately bankrupt. You must spend less than you make, so for every dollar that you make, you only have 70 cents to spend. Then you have 10 cents to give to the, charity or church or mission or whatever. 10% to give to the government. Give to Caesar. What is Caesar? And then 10% to save. So the purpose of saving, so that you have a investment capital. I love capitalism. So, now what's cool, so if you can just adopt that one principle throughout your whole life, everyone's going to earn money every year. You're going to earn lots of money throughout your life. It's just a matter of time if you live long enough. If you will just do that one principle, you'll be all right. So the idea then is you're living off of 70% of your income. Get to the point where all of your expenses go under that 70%. Keep your expenses down to that mark. So that then you have 30% of your income that is not being spent on consumption, consumerism. But when you get to the level of real wealth, this is where you start. You're living off of 70%. You can get to a point where and then you're only investing 10%, right? Because 20% or 10% for taxes, 10% for charity. You're only investing 10% of that. That's when you start out. Eventually it switches when you get really wealthy. You can get to the point where you make enough money that you can live off of the 10% of your income. And then you have 70% to give away, to invest, it's free. Okay, so that's when you get to if you have a lot of money. This is the super rich, that they can live off just 10% of their income. The guy who made those little 5-hour energy drinks, you know how much of his income he lives off of? Like 1%. Guy who made billions and billions, and he just keeps making it. He lives off 1% of that. That's his income. The 99%, he's investing in all the different causes that he wants to support, the things he thinks are going to help change the world, that sort of thing. Usually, I have found, it's not that you have to earn more. Most people, they earn enough, but they're wasting it. They're not living frugal. For most people, it's not a matter of earning more, but managing better what you already have. That is what would make a difference in your financial life. So the purpose of saving is an investment capital. Okay, you have to think in terms of investing capital. Because wealth comes not by wages, wealth comes by profits. So you have to save, you work, live frugal, you save, so that now you have a capital of money that you can start to invest. Romans 13, 7 to 8, says to owe no man anything. Many people tell me, yeah, that's true, you shouldn't owe anything. But a mortgage is something you can't escape, right? You can't escape a mortgage. It's such a fundamental part of society that you have to owe the bank. I don't think that's true. I've never had a mortgage in my entire life. I can tell you, you don't have to owe anyone anything. It was this principle that throughout my 20s, I just believed by faith that somehow I was going to have a house with no mortgage. I just believed it by faith. I told my wife, we'd be traveling at one point, we were just living in our car and living by faith on the road, living at host homes. All we owned was our car. It's the only thing, all my capital was in my car. That's all we had. We had host homes and we're traveling, we're loving it. If we didn't have a host home but we wanted to go somewhere, we just set up a tent in the state park. And people tent for fun. People go camping for fun. Well, I could do it for ministry. Hey, it was fun. Didn't feel like we were homeless, but I guess we were, in a way. But it was by choice, right? I was living according to my means, and we were having fun, and no problem. I had a capital invested in that car. I sold that car for more money than I paid for it. I kept reinvesting, kept climbing the ladder. Until at 26 years old, I paid cash for my first house, mortgage-free. Because I always believed somehow God was just going to give me a house with no mortgage. Because He said, and I used to pray, God, you said, owe no man anything. So I'm just trusting in you. I'm believing in you. Yeah. The way you can do this, the way you can have a house with no mortgage or anything else, you have to have a capital. You have to think in terms of capital. That this is the money that you have, this is the money that you have saved, now you invest it, you get a return of your investment and a return on your investment, and you get the money back with profit. and then you have money to reinvest in another thing. So I went from a car to a truck with a trailer to a truck with a bigger trailer to selling the truck and the trailer and buying a house. So start small, according to your means. That little bit of capital grows. You don't have to owe anyone anything. Most people think you need a business loan to have a capital. You don't. It can be done. I mean, that's the way most of society works. It doesn't have to be that way. So I like that principle, but that means you have to think in terms of capital. The Bible term is called usury, actually. Okay, that's what the Bible calls a banker. Someone who's using you. It's considered like an unrighteous form of finances. It's usury. That they're taking advantage of the poor by loaning money with interest. So use what you have to scale your capital, to scale your personal wealth. Like I went from a car to a truck and trailer, truck, bigger trailer, house.
Just a note about the bank thing. A normal person puts their money in the savings account at the bank, and the bank will give you a certain percent interest on what's in your savings. But it's just 1 or 2 or something percent. But you can bypass that by actually investing in the bank itself.
Yeah, buy the stocks of the bank.
You can buy maybe 1 share with Metro Bank for 12 pesos a share, or 1 share with BDO for 15 pesos a share. And so you become part of the ownership of the bank itself, because the money that dumb people put into the savings account, they take that money and invest it in other companies and businesses and get huge interest. They give you 1 or 2%, but they actually made 28, 29% interest by investing in Alaska milk or whatever, anybody else. So in the Philippines, you can start in this journey. If you want to invest in the actual banks themselves, you can start with 30,000 pesos with the Philippine Stock Exchange. You fill out an application form, provide your bank information, etc. Sign. Deposit your 30,000. It kicks in a couple days, and then you can take your 30,000 pesos and give 10,000 to BDO, 10,000 to Metro Bank, 10,000 to whoever. And then as those banks prosper, the value of your share goes up, and you make way more money than if you would have just put it into their savings account. There's a risk if the bank goes bankrupt, you'll lose your money. But
there's a risk with investing, but there's also a risk with not investing. Okay? Like life is full of risks. Okay? If you want to make money and start a business, there's a risk there. If you never try to start a business, you're taking another risk. Just staying, at the employer level the whole life. So there's a risk in action, and there's a risk in not action. The question is, what's the better risk? And take an educated, wise risk. Know what you're getting into. So the bank. If you put your bank if you put your money in a savings account, the bank is going to give you 1 or 2%. But they take that. How does the bank get its capital? From the people that are just putting money in the savings account for 1%. Then the bank will give somebody a mortgage for 7 or 8%. Your money. They're loaning out your money for 8% instead of giving you 1. That's how a bank operates. So it's considered usury in the Bible. You can become, and then you end up, when you have interest on your house, you're literally paying your house off 2 to 3 times just because of the interest. You're not just paying say $100,000 for your house. You're paying like $300,000 for a $100,000 house. Is that a good investment? No. You're paying $300,000 over 30 years for something that's really only worth $100,000. People say, "Oh, buying the house is the best investment you'll ever make." Then you're a bad investor if you're doing it that way. Okay. Buy low. Find a good foreclosure or something you can afford. Work your way up. So you can become self-financed by saving up and creating a capital. Then you bypass paying interest. You're financing your own endeavors. So now we're getting onto the investment phase, which, look, if your money is saved, what should you do with it? You earn it, you're living frugal, you have the savings, just put it under your mattress for 30 years. What's going to happen? It's not going to stay the same. It's going to lose value in 30 years. It's called inflation. They print more money. Remember, supply, and when they print more money, money loses its value. They continue to dump more supply, and then it loses its value. More money means less value. That's inflation. That's the problem. The government started thinking they could just print money. It grows on trees for the government. So if they want more, they just print it. We have to earn it. They just print it. It's another form of taxation that they don't need your permission for. It's an involuntary tax they impose. If you just save your money, put it under your mattress or put it in your safe in your closet, in 30 years, it will be worth less than it does today. So you can't just save it. Saving is a bad investment. Just simply saving it. That's a bad investment. You have to invest it in a way that's going to make you profit. Matthew 25, 14 to 30. You know, like when my grandmother bought a house in the 50s, you know, houses back then were like $25,000. Why? Because the value of the dollar was greater. The buying power of a dollar was greater. Because there was less dollars in print, less dollars in circulation. That's why. From the 50s all the way into the present, they just keep printing more money, more money's in circulation. Now, that same dollar doesn't have the same buying power. Now, her house was worth like $80,000. It's the same house, but it costs more money to buy. So houses, seem to retain their value. It conquers the problem of inflation. So real estate's a good investment. It's better than just putting it under your mattress. Put it in real estate. Real estate is like a hedge against the problem of inflation. Okay, Matthew 25, 14 to 30 is this principle that, well, let's just read it. It's real good. It says, starting in verse 14, "For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he had gained another 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged into the earth and just hid the Lord's money." Just put it under the mattress, right? "And after a long time the Lord of those servants comes and reckons with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came, brought forth other 5 talents, saying, Lord, delivered unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside thee 5 more talents. And his Lord said unto him, Well done, thy good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many. Enter thee into the joy of the Lord. He that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou delivered unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I'll make thee ruler over many others. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. Then he that had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and I went and I hid thy talent in the earth, and lo, thou hast that is thine. And his Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, Thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gathered where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers. And then at my coming I should have at least received mine own with usury. And you should have at least gotten, like, put it in the bank with some interest. Even that's better than just burying it in the ground. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which has 10 talents. For unto everyone that has shall be given, and he shall have abundance, but from him that has not shall be taken away even that which he has. And cast ye the unprofitable servants into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay, so if you're not a good investor, God's going to send you to hell. I'm just kidding.
They're so scary.
Yeah. Okay, this is a money analogy, and God has given us different talents, different abilities. We should render service unto Him. But there's certainly financial principles of investing. The concepts are all there. And so, you ever watch those old movies, like, it's supposed to be like during the 1800s, Pride and Prejudice or something, and you have this class of citizens called the gentlemen. And the gentlemen didn't have to work. Well, how is that possible? I was like, man, how can there be a whole class of these rich people? They don't even have to work. Well, they get to the point where, just like a lot of people do now, where they're retired, where they have enough money that's working for them that they can live off the interest of what's coming in. They can invest it. They're like landlords. They own all this land, and then they just rent it out to farmers who will plow their fields for them, plant the seed, water the seed, harvest it, for doing all the hard work for them. And the landlord can then live off the profit of his land without doing any of the work. So he was a gentleman. He was a landlord. He was a lord of the land. So money doing nothing is not money just sitting under your mattress is not the way it should be. Inflation will rob you in less than 30 years. In 30 years it'll be worth less. So you have to use it or lose it. That's the concept. Put it to work. They say, like Mitch said, the poor work for their money. The rich have their money work for them. Andrew Carnegie supposedly passed his knowledge on to this guy, Napoleon Hill, who wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich, where he shared Carnegie's secrets. It was an okay book, some things I didn't care for, but I like the idea of think. And you have to think about where you're going to put your money. What's going to be a good investment? You want a return of your investment, which is the money that you put into it. You want a return on your investment, which is the interest. Another book, he describes it as having an army of golden slaves. Put your money to work. Your money becomes your slave. And you want a whole army of golden slaves that goes and makes you money. Then, once you start making interest on your investments, now you can spend that interest. The key principle with the rich, never touch your capital. Don't consume your capital. Invest your capital. If you have to consume the interest, but never touch the capital. That's the principle. If you touch your capital, you're going in the wrong direction. If you spend your capital, forget it. So you have to get over this consumer mindset onto an investor mindset. Investing is the best way to spend money. You know what you're doing when you invest your money? You're buying money. That's what you're doing. Like if you buy something like a car, it's a depreciating asset. Over time, it just loses its value until it becomes an antique, right? But when you're investing money, you're buying money. My wife loves to spend money to things that she needs for the homeschool or whatever. She gets excited for it. If you're going to get excited about spending money, get excited about spending it on investments. Not on consumerism, things that you consume and they're gone, but on things that are going to make you money and increase your means. You have to use it or lose it. Investing is the best form of spending money. So you're literally buying it. Money makes money. Like stocks, you need money to make money. So you have to start here, earn it, live frugal, save it, Now you have money that'll make you money. They say, like the stock market, you can make 10%, 20%, 30% on your money. If you work your whole life and you save and you invest and you get $1 million, and if you invest that at 10%, you know how much money you'll have? You would have $100,000 a year, which is about $8,333 a month. Okay. That's nice. If you get to that level, you are a gentleman. You are retired. You don't have to work. Your money's doing all the work. $1 million getting you 10% interest, 10% of your investment, $100,000 a year passive income, $8,000 a month that you're not doing any work for. So this here, down here, this is your interest. This is your capital. Which one do you want to spend? Just the interest. Don't touch the capital. Leave it alone. That's the key to not just making money, but keeping it. Not just getting wealthy, but staying wealthy. Never consume your capital. This is only to be spent on investments. And you really, really get to invest. So now that's your profit. You're making profit off your investment. Now, what if you take that $8,000 a month, $100,000 a year, put it back into your capital? What if you don't live off this? What if you keep working, keep earning, keep living frugal, just keep growing that? That's how you create a whole huge estate for your family to inherit and that sort of thing. But now you got at least an interest, $8,000 a month. You could do a lot of good with. $8,000 a month, you could just residual income. So the poor work for money, the wealthy have their money work for them. It's a different perspective. Really, the only difference between the poor and the rich is their knowledge and their habits. Their spending habits. The rich spend money on investments. The poor spend money on consumerism. I want to buy this, I want to buy that, I want to just, their money just, you spend it and it never comes back. It's like you got a pile of money, just burn it. It's gone, it's consumed, it's gone. It never comes back again. So the rich have better knowledge on how to spend money. They have better habits of spending. That's the only difference.
In that book, that's why we who are preparing to have families someday and our own children, we pass on certain truths to them. Likened under the book with the title Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you have parents that have a value, honey, I need you to finish your schooling, finish your college, so that you can get a job. Because this is important, you need a job. And it seems like the goal in life is to get a job. But it's beyond that. I sit in McDonald's often because it's near my house, and I see these cashiers and I see the workers there working their butt off, running around. And I know they're never going to be rich doing that. They're going to work 40 hours a week at the cashiers, mopping the floor, and they're going to be paid, but they'll generally never own a house, or most of them won't even be able to leave home and afford their own apartment in that situation. And it's like the goal should not be to get a job at McDonald's, but to own McDonald's. You don't want to just be a Jollibee employee, because that's a dead end. You want to own a Jollibee. You don't want to. I even think of these teachers. I'll go far. These tens of thousands of educating graduates, like all these ICCT students. Many of them are They're trying to get a degree in education so that they can become a teacher in a public school. Well, they'll never prosper being a teacher in a public school. Why? Why can't we? Why? It'd be better if they could partner together with some of their classmates that have the same desire to be educators and pioneer their own school.
Yes.
To start their own school. To charge a tuition in their school based on what they feel their value is in being able to provide education. So we need a massive movement of privatization of education, hospital. Same thing for doctors and nurses. Why be a nurse at a general hospital? Why not consider the option of partnering or cooperating, networking with other nurses and start your own hospital? Yeah, easier said than done, but it really needs to be a worldview we need to adapt for wealth.
Yeah, it's a different perspective. The entrepreneurial perspective. For example, I wrote a book. I submitted it to some publishers and they weren't interested. It was a little too hardcore, and I'm not a professional writer. Now, a publisher is an investor. They want to invest. They're going to put up all this money to print these books, put up all this money to market these books, put up all this money to distribute these books. They want a return on their investment. So they want to invest in like best sellers, popular authors. Little guys like me have a hard time finding a publisher, right? So opportunities are not opening up for me. What happens when opportunities don't open up for you? You need to open them up yourself.
Yes.
If opportunities aren't opening, don't just take opportunities, you need to make opportunities. So you know what I did? I started my own publishing company. I started my own bookstore. It's all online and it's passive, but I hired a print-on-demand printer. And that's the same thing a publisher would do. They outsource the printing. The publisher doesn't even own printers. The publisher just does the marketing. They find the authors, they market the books. They outsource it to some other printer who they buy in bulk, so they buy it low, then they sell it high. So I thought, well, I can do the same thing. I can not just be, the author who's trying to get an investor. I can become the investor myself by starting my own publishing company, by starting my own bookstore. So that's what I did. So the difference between the rich and the poor, their spending habits, their knowledge, wisdom is better than gold. They say if you redistribute the wealth, give all the poor people the money of the rich, give the rich people all the poverty of the poor, in just a few years it's going to be the same as it was. Because the poor people don't know how to make money and how to keep the money. The rich people know how to make it. You can take it away from them and they're going to get it again. So wisdom is better than gold. You don't want the gold, you want the wisdom. You want the knowledge of how it's made. You want the formula for building wealth. Here it is. You can pay me later. Wisdom is better than gold. Amen? Okay. Now the Bible says that the child should not save up for the parent, but the parent for the child.
Say that again.
The child should not save up for the parent. The parent should save up for the child. If all you do is you stay here, you're earning money, and then you're just spending it, consuming it. When you get old, you can't earn it anymore. Now your children have to take care of you, and you become a burden to them. Now they have to earn it to pay for your bills. Because you never got to the point of living frugal, saving, and investing.
Yes.
And so isn't it better, instead of having to put your children in a situation where they have to save up for you, if the parent is saving up for the child, so that your parents have, so much money invested, a capital that's invested, and an interest is coming from that, which is now their spendable income, and they die, and you then inherit this passive income from your parents.
Amen.
And then you continue to build and add more to it so that your children inherit even more than you did. That's why they say the rich get richer, the poor get poorer.
We need to stop there because this is a major Asian cultural cycle.
Yes.
You're aware?
You see it in America too. It's just the way poor people are. If you never get past earning it, then you lose your strength, lose your health. You can't earn it anymore, so you're a burden to either society, the government, your children, because you never moved past the earning phase. You never got frugal, saved, and invested. So the biblical idea is that the parent saves up for the child. You don't want the child to have to save up for the parent. I don't have that scripture reference, but you can look it up.
So in Asia, we need to look for, ways to prosper, so that when we're older, our kids don't have to pay our bills. So that when we die, we have an inheritance to pass on to them. Anybody? Am I right or wrong?
It's the
I
more
mean, you
ideal.
want to pay all the bills of your parents in their last years? Are you looking forward to that?
Even in the Filipino culture, because that's the way it is. It's most of it. Like I would witness some people or investing the children would save up for their parents' bed.
Well, I'm sure there's investors in the Philippines, wealthy families,
Yeah.
who they might get so old that they need to move in with their kids. Their kids inherit their investments. Kids inherit their house. Kids inherit their income. I'm sure there's, it has nothing to do with culture. Oh, this is just our culture. It has to do with, this is the way poor people are because of their habits, and this is the way the rich people are because of their habits. I'm sure that there's plenty of wealthy, investing Filipinos who live in a different cycle. But it's not really a cultural thing, it's a habit thing. And it's the same in every country, depending on your habit. So yeah, wisdom is better than gold. That's why Solomon became the richest man in the world. God gave him wisdom. He didn't ask for gold, he asked for wisdom. And with that wisdom, he became the richest man in the world. Okay, I'm running out of time, so let me hurry through here. So investing is really the idea of buying and selling. When you buy something, here's the key. You make your money when you buy. Okay, people think they make their money when they sell. Like here, I buy a house and I hope that it increases its value in the next 10 years so that in 10 years I'll sell it for a profit. But in 10 years it might not have increased in value. In 10 years it might be worth less than you bought it for. So now you end up having a mortgage where you owe more than it's worth. That's a bad scenario. So you can't think, oh, you make your profit when you sell. No, you make your profit when you buy. You have to buy things that are under the current value. The best investment is something you can immediately sell for a profit. So, if you're buying a car that's worth $18,000 in the market value, you want to spend $14,000 for it. How can you do that? How can you spend $14,000 for an $18,000 car? Can that be done? Yes. You make your money when you buy. What gives you first of all, the power to do that? Number one, if you are a cash offer, the price is more negotiable. If you save up that cash, the price is negotiable because it's a more sure thing. Financing falls through, but cash is quick, cash is easy. Secondly, you need to find what's called a motivated seller. Somebody out there has a vehicle worth $18,000 that they need to sell right away because they're about to foreclose on it. They're about to miss their payments. They've already paid down their interest, and they can sell it for 14. They're trying to get 18, so you're looking for what's called a motivated seller. They have motivation to sell it at a discount. And then, when you find a motivated seller, that's a win-win. You win because you're giving them cash for something that's undervalued. They win because they avoid a foreclosure or whatever their scenario might be. So a good investment is something you can immediately sell for profit. Now this is a way, and I've done this. This is a way that a car, which is a depreciating asset, actually becomes a good investment. If you buy a car that's worth $18,000 and you only pay $14,000, that's a good investment. That's something that you could sell immediately for a profit. You make your money when you buy. Or you could drive it for a couple years until the value decreases to $14,000. Then sell it for $14,000. You got your money back. It means you drove a car for free for a couple of years. I've done that many times with vehicles or with trailers.
That's the Filipino way, because our cars do not depreciate here.
Oh.
Yeah. You buy a car at
Retains its value?
yeah, I bought my coaster for $150,000, in 2003 or whatever, and I sold it for almost the same amount.
No kidding.
8, 9 years later.
Wow.
We pay a lot for our vehicles here, and sell them for the same amount.
Wow. All right, I'm running out of time, so let me hurry up here. So that's a way to depreciate it. So buying and selling is a good investment, something you can immediately sell for a profit. You want to buy something that's undervalued. That could be, I like, cars, trailers, houses, find a motivated seller that will sell it to you undervalued. That's one of the best ways you can make. I've made even up to 300% on my investment doing it this way. 300%. That you'll never get that in the stock market. 300% of my investment buying that way. So also you might need to make like 10 offers. Find the make and model that you want, and then tell 10 different sellers, hey, this is how much cash I'm working with. Can you do it? And 9 people will say, no way, no way. You might insult them. But then one person says, oh yes, I need a buyer, I'll do it. So you might need to, look around. Somebody out there is a motivated seller. You just got to find them. Somebody out there will sell it to you undervalued. Most people pay overvalued because they're getting a mortgage or getting a loan, paying interest, so they're paying overvalued. You're not going to build wealth that way. So buy low, sell high. That's the concept of retailers and wholesalers. Also, you make profit through, like I said, the retail markups with these leather bags. I made 50%. That's an investment. Okay? The idea with an investment is you spend $1, spend $1, and you get back $2. Anytime you can do that, that's a good investment. And if you can find a way that you do that, you spend $1 and it gives you back $2, just do that all day long. Just keep feeding the machine. Here's $1, oh here's $2 back. Here's $1, oh here's $2 back. Here's $2, here's $4 back. Here's $4, here's $8 back. Just do that all day long. So that's when you get to the reinvest. That's how you scale your investments, you scale your business. Just keep reinvesting your profits, and there you go.
Did you hear the story of the man who did that? He started just trading objects. He started with like a pencil, and he ended up with like a house. Yeah. He traded a pencil for a pen, then a pen for like an eraser, then a razor for like a ruler, and then he ended up like trading some sports car for a house.
Yes.
Just from starting with a pencil.
There's a show on TV called Barter Kings. And that's what they do. The guy's like, you know what, my wife's anniversary's coming up, I want to buy her a diamond ring. But I can't afford a diamond ring. So he gets on Craigslist, he sells what he had. Oh, I have an iPhone, and I'll trade it for, say a laptop or whatever. And he just makes sure he gets the better end of the trade. That he's always trading up. Then he'll trade that laptop for, a dirt bike or something. He's just always making sure he's on the better end of the trade until he works his way up to a diamond ring and gives his wife the diamond ring. So that's what the show is all about. He's just the king of bartering, the king of trading. It's amazing. But that's really what investing is. It's trading.
Yeah.
You're trading stocks or you're trading a commodity, whatever it is. It's all trading. So you get to the issue of profits. Proverbs 11:1 says that a false weight is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is His delight. Okay? Your profit is when you sell and you want a fair trade. You want a motivated seller when you buy your investments. That's also a win-win. It's a fair trade. You just find someone in the right scenario where you're actually helping them out. They're helping you out. The same thing when you sell. You don't need to rip people off. You don't want them to pay more than it's worth. You don't have. That's not a good way to make money. To sell something for more value than it's really worth. That's called ripping someone off. So you want a fair trade. That's the golden rule. Right? Do unto others, you have them do unto you. Mutual benefit, not overprice. Make your profit. In fact, let's say you buy a house from a motivated seller and get a good price on it. How do you can calculate all of that? When you go to sell, let's say there's a house for $100,000, right? But the neighborhood is only worth $100,000. And this house needs repairs of $10,000 just to get it up to the standard of $100,000. So what you do to calculate the price is you minus the repair cost, and then also you want a 10% on your investment. So you want another $10,000 of profit, so you minus that. So you can come in with an offer. So you're not gonna offer them $100,000. You can offer them, say, $80,000. Because now you have $10,000 to repair it, $10,000 profit. Then you can sell it for $100,000, which is what the neighborhood is worth. So that's how you calculate, for real estate. But let's say there's a lot of houses for sale. It's a competitive market. You don't want this sitting forever. Now you're losing what's called opportunity cost, which is, all these opportunities are passing you by because your money's all tied up. So what do? You sell it undervalued. Maybe instead of taking $10,000, you'll just take $5,000 for a quick sale. And now you're undervalued, which means you're going to do a quick sale. That's how you get a quick sale in a competitive market. So that's when you get into the issue of profits. All profit is made by trading. You got to trade somehow. But it can be a fair trade. Even putting just the ethical, golden rule aside, it's a good business rule. You don't want to rip people off. You don't want them to overpay. You want to have a good reputation. People only buy from people that they trust. Nobody wants to buy from someone with a bad reputation. So it's just good business. So the idea, you invest for a profit, you get a return of your investment and a return on your investment. This is what you put in, this is your interest. Return of it and a return. I saw that when I bought a little car, spent this much money, sold it for more, so I got my initial investment back with profit. Just kept then you get to the reinvesting, where you scale it. 2 Corinthians 9:6 has this principle that your reaping is proportionate to your sowing. If you sow abundantly, you reap abundantly. If you sow sparingly, you reap sparingly. So if you want to have an abundance of reaping, you need to have an abundance of sowing. Applied to finances, that's the reinvest. You want your capital to continue to grow. So you have more seed to sow so that in the long term, you have more of a harvest. That's the only way to scale your business, is to reinvest your profits. And scaling is how you meet a greater demand, bringing more of a supply. It ends up having a snowball effect. Again, never touch the capital if you have to spend the interest. But still, think more of an investor than consumer. Instead of consuming the interest, reinvest it again. So you end up creating this huge financial machine that in the long haul is just generating huge amounts of wealth. Wealth is a means of blessing your children, blessing ministries, blessing the world. You don't have to be rich to bless people, but this is one way that you can. And if you can, then you should. If it's something that you can do, you're supposed to do all that you can do. So then, and that's what Andrew Carnegie did. He reinvested. One factory, was reinvested in another factory, so on and so forth. So lastly, and we're finishing here, just repeat. This is the formula. Earn it, live frugal, save, invest, profit, reinvest, then repeat. Start over again. If you do that, you're guaranteed to have wealth. There's no mystery to it. It's not a matter of chance. Building wealth is a science. It's simple principles, simple reasoning, simple logic. Anyone can do it. So the difference between the poor and the rich are just their spending habits. Improve your financial situations and your knowledge. Improve your knowledge and improve your habits. That's that. God bless you guys. And we'll take I guess we'll have announcements and
Yes.
A question?
I'm just asking about what is the proper way of giving 10% tithes? 10% from the gross or 10% from the profit?
Yeah, well, you give 10% of your net. If you have a business, like if your business makes $1 million, but you're only netting 100,000 profit. If you have $1 million in revenue, but 100,000 in profit after expenses, well, if you give 10% of your gross, that's 100,000. That's all of your profit. That means you get nothing. Okay, so you don't tithe on your gross revenue. You tithe on your net profit after you clear expenses. That's your income, and then you tithe 10% of that income. Yeah. But the idea was that you earn it, and then you only spend 70 cents for every dollar. 10% for taxes, 10% for charity, and then 10% for savings. So now you have a savings that came from an income that you already tithed from. And then you make your profit, and the same principle. If you're reinvest 70% of your profit, so that then another 10% of your profit goes to taxes, 10% of your profit goes to charity. Well, I guess you could at that point invest 80% of your profit because you don't need to keep saving your 80%, which goes back in. So it's all money management, telling it where to go, making sure the tithe is taken care of, the taxes is taken care of, and then your savings and investments. Yeah. Good. Any other questions? Yeah. This is simple, basic, but most people don't talk about it. Most people don't learn it. So my first time teaching it, and I hope you enjoyed it.